Hi everybody, my name's TR and welcome to my channel. And on my channel I like to talk about a lot of political, racial, and social issues that exist in our country. And people just like to turn a blind eye to it, and they like to sugarcoat it and try to play Jedi mind tricks on. And I just get tired of it. From the major news media to politicians to people just in everyday life, a lot of us don't want to hear the truth because the truth hurts about certain issues that we talk about. And you don't want to look at it for what it is. Me and a lot of other folks, I'm one of those people that just don't like for you to give me a pile of doo-doo and put powdered sugar on it and call it chocolate cake. No, it ain't. Why are you trying to sweeten up something for me that stinks? If it's doo-doo with powdered sugar on it, it's doo-doo. Plain and simple. And we got to start looking at a lot of issues and telling it for what it's worth, and even when the truth hurts. Now, when I make a lot of my comments and videos, a lot of you are going to really bash me and call me all kind of dumb, fat, black, neppyhead, nigga names and all that stuff, especially a lot of you racist folks. And with this video that I'm going to talk about, a lot of you going to say some real stupid, ignorant comments instead of talking intelligently. And I'm going to go to it and get to the point about this video, and it's about Hermain Cain and his surprising lead that he has over all the other nominees right now in the Republican presidential nomination. I'm not gonna lie, I almost peed on myself when I looked at it and saw that Hermain Cain now has the lead. And I'm gonna give some of my reasons why I just don't think in the long haul he's gonna win. I had this discussion with a close friend of mine earlier in the summer, and we had our little powwow, and he said that Hermain Cain was going to win the nomination. He's like, he's going to surprise you and shock you. I was like, man, get out of here. I was like, there's no way that the GOP, especially the GOP people, the people that are vote Republican in the South and in the Midwest, are going to vote for a black man, a person of color, period, no matter how much sense he makes. I just don't believe it. Well, come to find out, they did it. I mean, but on the long call, I just don't think he's still going to win it. Number one, he doesn't have enough money. He's going to have to get more money. Number two, I just don't see him winning the hearts and minds of a lot of people in the South and in the Midwest, because I live in the South, and regardless of all the good things there are down here, about the South, one thing that still exists is that underlying racial attitude, and it exists on black and white sides. It's an underlying racial issue that a lot of Southern whites, a lot of them are older, they still hold on to and see negatively about somebody of a different color. And that's one thing that we just don't want to be truthful and real about. We try to hide it and try to just pretend like it don't exist. We just let it die and go away. But it's not. It's not going to die and go away unless we really bring it to the front table and talk about it. As much as I would like to see Hermain Cain win the nomination in the Republican Party, I just don't think it's possible. There are too many people in the South who are older, just have those racist views instilled in them that was taught by their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents. Now, if things have gotten a little better, somebody in my age who's white, and I've talked to them, say, oh, I'll vote for Hermain Cain. Oh, really? What about your parents? What about your grandparents, who just don't think that a black person or a person of color should be holding a major position of power? I mean, look at it. In a lot of our neighborhoods, the neighborhoods that I lived in years ago were completely white, and then black folks and people of color started moving in slowly. Now a lot of them started moving away and moving to new neighborhoods. And look at our school structure still. Look at how a lot of our schools are just still, they try to find crafty ways to segregate the schools and separate the schools and all that. So you mean tell me that the GOP is going to really nominate a person of color, somebody black, in the long haul? I just don't see it. As much as I would love to see it, I don't think it's going to happen. Now, Hermain Cain makes a lot of sense. with his views compared to other Republican nominees, Perry and Romney and Bachmann and Paul. He's the only one that has some kind of outline plan that he sees as a solution to try to help the economic situation in this country. Now, I've read into his 999 plan, and there's some things I do like. I mean, that I may like, and there's some things I question, like how are you going to, on top of a 10% tax in Alabama, I have a 10% sales tax. So you mean to tell me now I'm going to pay a 9% tax? I just don't see how. I question how that's going to work out, and I also question with him saying that he wants to take away a payroll tax. So how are we going to pay for the tax then? How is it going to come out? It's interesting to see how it's going to come out. And I looked at some of the things on his website, on his plan for the 999, and he gives a summary, but we don't need a summary. With the way things are economically in this country, we need somebody that's going to give us the full details, because people are getting tired of getting ran around the bush and getting knocked. And if we have politicians that continue to do that, we're gonna see a revolution and a big revolt that we're slowly seeing now in this country. That's gonna really turn ugly, and it's time for us to start putting a lot of pressure on politicians. Now, I like the fact that Hermain Cain pulls this little Jedi mind trick on people and says, in his little motto when he talks, he says, "My name is Hermain Cain, and I am not a politician." Well, first of all, if you run for politics and throw your hat in any kind of political race on any level, you have become a politician. Now, he is also somebody that has had experience in running a corporation, running a business. Okay, when you sit on the board and sit in the chairman boards and a lot of in corporate America, you're already making political decisions, because you have to make political decisions that will benefit or hurt or cut back or whatever that business. So you're making political decisions, and that's why you see so many businessmen and people in business go into politics, because in a way it goes hand in hand. And in today in America, our country is ran like a corporation in a way. Now, I will say this. One thing that I agree on with Hermain Cain, and a lot of you won't tell the truth about it and won't look at it for what it is. He said that a lot of black folks are brainwashed from the Democratic Party. But let's look why there are a lot of them are brainwashed. Now, I totally agree that there are a lot of liberal issues, liberal policies that have hurt the black community, the Latino community, so on and so forth. And it's time for a lot of us black people to stop this sucking on the titty of thinking that the Democratic Party is looking out for our best interest. But when you look at a lot of black neighborhoods that are majority Democratic districts for the last 30 or 40 years, a lot of the policies and a lot of the people that have been elected in those districts, nothing has majorly changed for those neighborhoods for the better. So really and honestly, has it gotten better? Do the Democratic Party really truly benefit? But you got to blame the Republican Party too, because you got to go back to the Civil Rights Movement. And after the Civil Rights Act was passed, and going into the 70s, into the 80s, more and more blacks started getting elected into the Democratic Party. And if I'm somebody that sees that, okay, here it is, people of my race, of my color being elected, that means that they taking some interest. And nobody black was being elected Republican in the Republican Party. And you also got to look at the fact that too, that during the 60s and 70s, going into the 80s, 70s and 80s, as more black people got elected into the Democratic political positions, a lot of the Republican started allowing the racist people who I call Dixiecrats in the South move over to the Republican Party, which is why you have so many of them, a good base of them that has who are Republican, who have these racist ideas that get intertwined with conservative agendas, and it just attracts it repeals, it keeps people who are black from wanting to vote, because there are a lot of us who see conservative issues and we agree upon, but I'm not going to go around toting the Republican GOP card because they won't attack and single out those people who have these demeaning racist issues. And if the Republican Party would do that, they would get a lot more black people. Because if you look at black folks in the South, overall in the United States period, but in the South, black people have a strong belief in God. You're not going to find a lot of black folks talking about they're atheists. I mean, there's some out there, of course, yeah. But if you look at it, I know from my mom parents and other people's parents, especially these older black folks, you better not come in their house talking about you don't believe in God or abortion. They'll kick you out. My parents, they'll be like, man, you got the devil in you, talking about you don't know no God exists. And so Republicans like to say that belief in God and family values. Black folks are just as conservative as they can be when it comes to family, especially older black people. And if the Republican Party would wake up, they could easily have those people in their party. But I just don't think, to sum it all up, I just don't think Hermain Cain's going to win it in the long haul. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see somebody finally who makes sense compared to the other candidates get elected. And I would like to see a time when it doesn't take a whole bunch of money and corporate sponsors. And that's another problem we have. We got all these people, businesses and corporations that got their hands in controlling politicians. And more money you got, it seems like the better you got a chance of winning, and that needs to stop. Because and what I see, he doesn't have the corporate backings, money backings compared to Perry and Romney. I just still think in the end Romney's going to get it, but I hope I'm wrong. Leave your comments and tell me what you think. Take care.